About 2,400 years ago, there was a fascinating conversation on the porch of a courthouse in Athens between Socrates and a Greek pagan priest named Euthyphro. One part of that conversation led to a question from Socrates that has since become known as the Euthyphro dilemma. Here's what Socrates asked: is something holy because the gods love it, or do the gods love it because it is holy? This question created a serious dilemma. Whatever answer Euthyphro gave seemed to create problems. If he chose the first option, then holiness becomes completely arbitrary. Anything could be called holy simply because the gods happen to want it, even if it's inherently evil or unjust. If he chose the second option, then the gods don't actually have ultimate authority, because they're just following some higher principle that exists above them. The conversation ended in a deadlock. Unable to provide a satisfying answer, Euthyphro excused himself and left. But the Euthyphro dilemma never went away. It's still one of the most uncomfortable questions facing religions today. In this video, we will explore how Islam and Christianity respond to this philosophical question. Let's start with Islam. We'll adjust the question slightly for a monotheistic context. Is something true because Allah wills it, or does Allah will it because it is true? In Islam, Allah is the supreme being, so nothing can exist above him. That means Islam can't choose the second option. Furthermore, Islam has the principle of naskh mansukh, or abrogation of verses. In this principle, earlier verses no longer apply and are replaced by later ones. This is spelled out in Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 106. We do not abrogate a verse or cause it to be forgotten, except that we bring forth one better than it or similar to it. In other words, some verses in the Quran are no longer in effect. They've been cancelled by verses revealed later. The most famous example is the sword verses in the Quran. For instance, Surah At-Tawbah, verse 5. When the sacred months have passed, kill the polytheists wherever you find them, capture them, besiege them, and lie in wait for them at every place of ambush. According to many Islamic scholars themselves, this single verse abrogates more than 100 earlier verses that spoke of peace, tolerance, and mercy towards non-Muslims. This creates a very convenient and troubling double standard for Muslims in practice. When they are weak or in a minority, they lean on the peaceful verses and promote Islam as a religion of peace. But when they are in a position of strength and the conditions allow it, the brutal sword verses come into play, used to suppress followers of other faiths. The conclusion is clear. In Islamic theology, something is true simply because Allah commands it, not because it is objectively true. This means Islam is stuck with the first horn of the Euthyphro dilemma. And the consequence is that truth in Islam is entirely arbitrary. It depends on whatever Allah happens to will at any given moment. This gets even worse when you consider that Allah's will is just as unknowable as Allah's identity. No Islamic theology can articulate Allah's will in a complete or coherent way. And since the will of Allah, the supposed source of all truth, can't actually be known, then truth itself in Islam has no clear definition and can't be known either. Even Islamic scholars themselves cannot explain how Quranic teachings can be understood systematically, because the verses scattered throughout truly have no system. The teaching of truth in Islam is like puzzle pieces that can never form a complete picture. In the previous video, we concluded that Islam is not a religion of love. Now we can add one more. Islam is not a religion of truth. So how does Christianity answer the Euthyphro dilemma? In the Gospel of John, Jesus says, "I am the way and the truth and the life." John 14:6. This is where Christianity resolves the Euthyphro dilemma with remarkable elegance, by teaching that truth is not something outside of God, nor something arbitrarily decided by God. Truth is the very nature of God Himself. That means truth doesn't exist outside of God, forcing Him to submit to something beyond Himself. But it also means truth isn't arbitrary or inconsistent, because God cannot contradict His own nature by commanding what is false. The conclusion is straightforward. Christian teaching escapes the Euthyphro dilemma cleanly and completely. Unfortunately, Islam cannot copy this answer because in Islam, Allah is not truth. Remember, the Quran states that Allah is not like anything else. Therefore, Allah is also impossible to be the same as truth. So it's no wonder that Allah, whose identity is unclear, also reveals unclear truth in the Quran. We can conclude that Islam is nothing more than a false religion that cannot teach truth to humanity. Contrast that with the God of the Christian faith, who revealed truth gradually and systematically through the prophets, and then fulfilled and completed that truth through the Incarnation. The truth in Christianity is like puzzle pieces that, in the light of the Holy Spirit, come together systematically into a whole and coherent picture. This is a religion that truly teaches humanity the full truth. There's one important takeaway from this video. A philosophical question more than 2,400 years old has become a dividing line between the true God and a false one, between a genuine religion and a counterfeit. And now you can use the Euthyphro dilemma to directly confront Islamic belief with a question it simply cannot answer satisfactorily. This argument about God and truth is explored in depth in the book Islam and Common Sense, written for anyone who believes that genuine faith never has to be afraid of honest philosophical questions. Get the book now. The link is in the video description.